Have you ever been an actual participant in a human wedding?
No.
You would not consider it to be an honor?
Honor, perhaps. But human bonding rituals often involve a great deal of talking and dancing and crying.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 4, Episode 11 has been over since 1991, but here in 2026 on Live Long and Podcast, we're just getting started. Whether you join us live on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or catching the audio version wherever you get your podcasts, our mission to rewatch every episode of TNG continues. One wedding rehearsal, one diplomatic mystery, and one android trying to avoid understanding humanity at a time. And now this is your captain speaking, your host, Dave Mader. Tonight we experience life aboard the Enterprise entirely through the eyes of Lieutenant Commander Data. You could say we see it through the yellow eyes as he prepares for the wedding of Keiko and Miles O'Brien. Navigating friendship, duty, and complexities of human emotion. Meanwhile, a diplomatic mission involving Ambassador T'Pel of Vulcan takes a dangerous turn, leading to a tense confrontation with the Romulans. It's a day filled with small moments, big revelations, and a quiet charm of seeing through the Enterprise crew through Data's unique perspective. And now, let's talk to our great panel about this episode. Coming in first, she's tuned into every emotional beat, the sweetness of the wedding preparations, Data's attempt to understand human relationships, and the tension surrounding T'Pel's disappearance. When an episode blends heart with mystery, she feels every moment. It's Narduzzi. Heather Narduzzi.
Hello, I brought a bouquet for the wedding. Beautiful. This is one of my all-time favorite episodes, so I'm very excited to discuss it. The fashion, the fun, the shenanigans, the intrigue, so much to enjoy about this episode. Stargazer Fish says in the comments, Heather, you missed so many outfits this past Monday. So I'm going to catch up on this, and we'll get to that on next Monday, but right now, we have so many great outfits and dancing in this episode. So good. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And maybe some masquerading as a Vulcan when you're actually a Romulan. Bringing in next on our panel, he's tracking the diplomatic and operational layers, the Federation Romulan tensions, the implications of T'Pel's defection, and how a seemingly routine day becomes a political flashpoint if there's a chain of command wrinkle. He's mapping it. It's Adam Woodward.
Hey, happy to be here tonight, Dave, and looking forward to talking about Data's Day. I remembered it differently than it ends up for me, but I'm excited you guys tell me and maybe boost up my mark.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to talking to both of you about this episode. We are talking Data's Day, which is the 85th episode overall of Star Trek The Next Generation, aired January 7th, 1991. A story by Harold Apter with a teleplay by Harold Apter and Ronald D. Moore and directed by Robert Weimer. And I think this episode often gets, or some, at least Jody, who we think may join us as well at some point, we'll see, gets confused with In Theory, which is the episode that comes a little later in the season with Data has got the girlfriend, if you recall.
Right.
Which kind of gets teased in this episode about the idea, like, maybe I want to get married someday from Data here, you know? And Counselor Troy thinks he has a lot to offer. So get him on Android Tinder right away. Yeah. Well, like Heather, I know you're a fan of the episode and the outfits and everything else. I kind of like. I want to. Adam, do you like this episode? Is kind of my first question to start off here.
Listen, I like all the different cast members we see in this episode. I love the idea of Data telling a story, and that's what he's doing through a letter. And I was very happy, when I first saw this, and still am, that he's talking to Maddox. I mean, I don't know if it's part of his deal, but I mean, this guy was trying to take him apart,
assemble him, and steady him.
Yeah.
Data's an android, no feelings, no hard feelings, right?
No, you're right, and that is emphasized here because not everybody would feel that way.
I most certainly wouldn't.
But I think that this is really cool that you get an insight into Data's psyche and what he finds fascinating about the human condition, and there's lots there.
Yeah, well, and you saw at the end of A Measure of a Man that, because Data doesn't have feelings or emotions, he was like, all good, Maddox. Like, when you are ready to create like artificial life, like the next stage, I'll be there. I'm excited for it, but I still object to this proceedings and my status as a person, but all that. But that's not that. This is a different episode.
It's a different episode, but it's also, you come back to Data, and even how we reacted to Tasha's death. And, I was on, we were debating about this on one of Davin's shows the other day, and it's the same concept. Is like Data is much deeper than you think.
He is much deeper. We're told he doesn't have feelings, but sometimes I have a hard time accepting that because he comes across as having a lot of empathy, at least. He's.
But I really love how the writers deliberately hint at that and want us to anthropomorphize him and then reiterate, no, I'm an android. I do not have feelings. But the way he says it, you can't help but read into it.
Right.
Jim the Casual says, Dear Maddox, glad you're not here. Pleasantries, Data.
The other thing I'd like to say, there's another one too from Norman.
Oh.
Dear Maddox, just as you were not invited to my farewell party, you're not invited to this wedding or what, his potential wedding. I think Maddox would be invited to Data's wedding.
Sinister says, as an autistic person, I've always loved Data. I've seen a lot of discourse about that. A lot of autistic people saying that they related very much to Data and loved the character. So thank you for that. That's cool.
Yeah, and Spock has also often got that same comparison.
I'd like to say here too is that the B story deserved more. And that's my criticism of this episode is that they had a very strong story to tell, and it was just, very glossed over, in my opinion.
I think I agree with you that it was a cool story, and it would have been nice to see a bit more of it. But I think, in my opinion, the reason it was not touched on a lot is because the episode is meant to be like a slice of life day in the Enterprise, right? And that's just one small piece of what happens. That's usually what we see mainly, is that sort of thing. But instead of just that one little piece that we focus on all of it, we also get to see the dancing and the going for a haircut at the barber and all of those little things that make up a day in the Enterprise that we don't usually get to see.
I appreciate that. However, I would have liked both, and that's all. We could have had a standalone story on that.
Yeah.
You could have. I suspect that they're like, it was the afterthought when they were coming up with the premise of the episode. Like, okay, we want to tell an episode from Data's perspective, and he's going to go around to the different sections of the ship. But then they probably realized, but we need something more than he's just running around worrying about this wedding. There's got to be something else happening.
I know, but it's a great idea. And it just feels like, okay, this person spent years in the Federation. What did she learn? And what did she basically...
And what happened to the other T'Pel? What happened to the real T'Pel?
Exactly. And like, there's a story here, but we never get that.
No, it's yeah. Well, I get what you're saying, but I think it still works mostly. I think also because the mystery might be a little bit more obvious if we were getting way more scenes. It's already kind of obvious, especially when T'Pel calls Data to the quarters and tell me about all your shield, tracking. And then he's like, well, I have to ask you why you want this information, even if you do have security clearance. And she's like, I just wanted to see if you would do that. Okay, bye. Like, I don't know. I feel like this should have been part of Data's Starfleet training to report suspicious activity, but hey.
That might be a good topic for a short trek.
Could be.
To pick up that thread and find out like what happened to the original T'Pel and what did the Romulan undercover agent learn. That would be interesting.
Yeah, and these Romulans, man, they're always messing with the Federation, no matter what they try, because the whole other thing was like, oh, we're going to normalize diplomatic relations, and we're going to formally, get this going, and then by the end of this, it's quite the opposite. I'd say the tensions only go up with the Romulans probably after this episode. The fact that Picard and the Enterprise get out of it unscathed is probably the best thing they can say about it. So, let's jump into this episode and everything we saw. A lot of fun, great moments in this for me. Starting off, this is a second officer's log reminding us that Data is the third in command of the ship, as he is writing this letter to Bruce Maddox, a cyberneticist who was involved in Data's earlier life, and of course the Measure of Man. And he's commanding the night shift here to start off the episode. I don't know if we got the night shift before this moment, but it's like the lights are a little dimmer during the night shift here on the Enterprise. And then the day shift, the morning crew, I guess, shows up, led by Riker. And he mentions that there's a little bit of a handoff here. We get this one with Riker here, and then we'll get one with Worf at the end, when Worf, I guess, is signing off from the late day shift.
I like this again. Like I think this is great operations. You tell everything, all the pertinent information that you need to know, and it was a very run-of-the-mill night.
Yeah, everything that happened, one of the ensigns went into labor, which will come into focus here in the episode as a baby will be born at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. This is a big day, we're told. It's the wedding for, I don't know if they tell us it's O'Brien right yet, but Data is going off here to do his thing. And we're constantly getting the narration here from Data as he's going through his different stages here. Heading off the bridge, he's heading over to Keiko's quarters, and we're told he's the father. He's filling the role of father of the bride, and he's meant to give her away. And I think, as one of the people in the comments, I think it was Norman, said, this is actually the first episode featuring Keiko ever, right?
Is this the first mention of her at all, or just the first time we see her?
Pretty sure this is the first time we see her or mention her. Both, I think, is the answer. I don't think she's referenced up in this point. We haven't seen O'Brien for a few episodes either.
Right. So Rosalind Chow plays Keiko Ishikawa, later O'Brien, and she was also in The Joy Luck Club, which is one of my favorite movies adapted from one of my favorite books by Amy Tan, and she does a wonderful job. I love her as Keiko. I know Keiko gets a lot of hate, but I think she's great, and I really like her in this episode. Oh, Norman says in the comments, she played a key role in MASH.
She married Klinger.
Klinger's wife. Okay, there you go. Sinister says, love Keiko's outfit. Me too. And Stargazer says, glad the plants got their camera time. Those were birds of paradise.
Isn't that her job on the Enterprise? Isn't she
she's a botanist. That's right.
So is she what is she a member of the crew, or is she just a consultant or something? I'm not sure.
She's a civilian scientist, I believe. So O'Brien is chief petty officer, but I don't think she's in Starfleet. Probably got a plum assignment on the flagship to do botany. Is she an exobotanist? Probably.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
So we lost Dave.
Okay, well, We don't have any screenshots.
So,
What does
Heather,
everyone in the comments think
wait
of
a
this?
second.
Oh,
Is this a C story or is this another B story?
which?
The Keiko O'Brien thing.
Well, it's in this. It's kind of the A story. Well, I guess the A story is Data writing to Maddox, and this is one of the stories. Stargazer says, Dave beamed out. It's okay. We tractor beamed him right back. Here he is.
Do you miss me?
We did very much. Would you
Thank
say
you.
that Keiko and
Apologies.
O'Brien's wedding is like a C story in this? I say Data is the A story. Keiko and Miles's wedding is the B story, and the Vulcan stuff is the C story.
Oh, I'm heartbroken by that.
I think that's kind of. I think you could look at it from either perspective. I think
Yeah.
that it's, that the storyline with the Romulans, you could consider it the A storyline, but if it is, it's kind of underserviced. So if it depends on what you like. I think there's different aspects of it here for different people. But I think it was interesting, like, because we got this episode here with Keiko and Miles, setting them up like as a couple and moving forward. And next episode we're going to be doing the Wounded, which is more about O'Brien's backstory, more about him in the war, introducing the Cardassians. And I'm like, they must have known by this point that they're going to be going to Deep Space Nine, that they're going to be developing that as the next spin-off and doing everything else and expanding on this franchise, which I think is interesting, that where the show is at this point. Because at this point, like, they've been on the air for 4 years and it's having some success, but they're like, we need to think about what's going to happen by season 6 or 7 because we can't afford our cast anymore. They're going to become too expensive. We need to do a spin-off and get someone like Colmini in here. And let's bring in Rosalind Chow.
What's her name? Keiko's real name?
Rosalind Chow, CHAO.
Okay. She already had an experience on doing a spinoff. It was called Aftermash. Dismal.
She's like, this
Not
time will be
good.
better.
We're not doing this.
Well, that wasn't the case with Deep Space Nine, and she got to do a lot more on Deep Space Nine.
Oh, I wouldn't
Remember
see
the
Deep Space
episode
Nine
where?
spin-off.
Pardon?
Is Deep Space Nine considered a spinoff? That's another conversation. Let's not do that.
Yes,
I would
that's
say-
true.
I would say yes, but as opposed to what?
The less said about Aftermash, the better. I agree, Norman. As a big MASH fan, that was completely disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Miles.
Yeah, give a little Keiko in there. Okay, well, let's get. Sorry that I had to drop out there, but I'm back. So yes, Rosalind Chow with the chopsticks in her hair. I think those are, or is that meant to be just a hair thing? I don't know. But she wants to call off this wedding we're just learning about, and Data's like, but why would you want to call this wedding off? And I think Miles will actually be happier this way. Everything else. So she's like, will you please tell Miles I don't want to go through with this wedding? And he's like, okay, well, if it will make you happy, then sure. And he goes off. He heads over to 10 Forward, where the ceremony is meant to happen. They're already starting to decorate for the ceremony here. And he delivers the news here to Miles.
I love the way he says this. Keiko has made a decision designed to increase her happiness.
happiness.
The wedding's off. See ya.
Yeah.
She has canceled the wedding. She what?
Cancel the wedding? Today? Without even a word? Of all the childish, selfish, irresponsible things to do.
Next time, maybe I should deliver the good news.
I don't think
Data,
it would have been
you
received
okay?
any differently if it was Geordi. Even if you caged it differently, it still would have been received. And he's right. Miles is
Yeah.
right.
Well, Miles being upset, how can you blame him? But
I feel like he went from 0 to 60 real quick, though. Like, no follow-up questions. Data's like, she's canceled the wedding. And he's like, what? Childish, selfish, stomps out.
He's
Instead of
Irish.
like,
That's what
he's
Well,
Irish. That's how we do it.
That's how
why?
we, and like again, like you're not going to the wedding. You send Data to tell me, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
kind of silly.
that's maybe that's.
But this is like, but I think they're also trying to establish like the whole Miles and Keiko dynamic where he gets frustrated with her sometimes, and she's always like, I don't know. She's more, I'd say in Deep Space Nine, she's more giving him shit than the other way around. But, you know, it's, you know, she just reminds me of this moment in Deep Space Nine, one of my all-time favorites. Go back to Bajor and your plants.
Go back to Bajor and your plants and Sabar. See if I care.
He's mad. I mean, he always preferred Julian anyway, so.
Well, that's true. He hadn't met Julian yet.
The news was delivered with the grace of a flying anvil, so.
There you go. Well said. So we
Norman's
come off.
comment too, Heather. That was a fantastic movie. Also had Cuba Gooding Jr. in it.
What Dreams May Come? Was she in that? Yeah. Okay.
Unbelievable movie.
I haven't seen it since it came out. Like I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theaters, which is like 1998, I want to say. Or
yeah, I was a theater manager. I opened that movie.
Yeah, great movie. But yeah, I haven't seen it since. So forgot she was in it. But yes, Data's Day is the name of the episode. After the credits, which shows the Enterprise flying side by side with an Ambassador class ship, the same class of ship as the Enterprise C. I think I forget the name of the ship. Maybe that will come up. But they're beaming over the fake Ambassador T'Pel, actually the Romulan.
It's the Zukov.
The Zukov. Yeah, T'Pel Salak is the Romulan name of this person. So Data's there to meet the ambassador when she beams over, and I want to talk to the captain, and she's going along. I do like his little narration as he's writing the letter here to Maddox in the turbolift, describing that while he has a lot in common with Vulcans, the lack of emotion, he doesn't really necessarily envy them the way he envies humans. I think that was kind of an interesting take, even though she's not technically a Vulcan.
She's a handsome woman.
A handsome woman here. Got to show off the pointed ears, of course.
This outfit is something else. Look at this, like, shiny Pope hat. Like, what is going on?
It's Vulcan fashion, what can you say?
Vulcan finery. Well, I'm glad they stepped up the Vulcan finery by the time they got to Strange New Worlds. Jim the Casual says, so hot pink, is that a Vulcan thing?
It is now.
Apparently so. Hot pink. Paisley.
Yes. So as Data escorts her to meet with Picard and Riker, she gets in the room and she's automatically like, get out. To Riker and Data, basically. I'm talking to Picard, and that's it. And Riker and Data leave, and Riker makes an offhand remark about how charming she is. And then Data goes, I think he actually means the opposite of that. Like, that's, I'm not good with the subtleties of sarcasm, but I think that's
I don't understand. Like, again, here we go. I got comments about Riker to make. Why does he get so put off by this crap? He's the first officer. If he's told to dance, he dances.
But he's like, why can't I be in the meeting? Well,
he doesn't even pay attention when he should anyway and tell the captain stuff. Like the captain tells him stuff. Like he doesn't do his job. Riker is not a good first officer.
Well, Adam's not going to hire him. He's putting that resume to the bottom of the pile.
I would never make him a captain. Let me tell you that.
Admiral Woodward.
He be a captain anyway, so.
No, well, we know that he has no ambition.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of true.
He's become too comfortable. Remember that?
Yeah, seasoned. That's what he is. Terrible thing to say to a man. Okay, we're moving on to the next scene, which is the barber, Geordi getting a haircut here. Mr. Mott, our namesake of our fellow podcaster, well, I guess a nickname of our fellow podcaster, Tom Mott Tyrell. We get a Bolian here. I think our second Bolian after, actually maybe the first real Bolian we're getting here. I always thought it was it. What, a bald barber? How could this stand? But then everyone was like, no, tons of barbers don't have hair as well. So it's not a prerequisite.
You know what I'm going to say here about Riker? Every time I cut up Riker, nobody says anything in the chat. So I'm assuming everybody agrees with me.
I don't think so.
What
say you, chat? Does everybody agree with Adam's Riker haterade?
Would you not make him a captain, everyone? Is he not even first officer? Maybe What position would you give to him, Adam?
Oh, I'd give him some positions.
We'll get to that.
I think you should be reevaluated and sent to maybe Starfleet headquarters to do some admin job.
He should be administrative duties,
maybe like an admiral's chief of staff or something.
First of all, admin duties are very important.
I didn't say they weren't. I think that Riker would be very suited towards that.
Maybe he could be like that Remick guy who actually
like
right. He could be like Remick. That would be a good job for him. Working for an admiral. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe. Anyway,
Him and Shelby working for an admiral together.
that wouldn't go well.
No, Shelby will be the admiral, and Riker will work for her.
That's true too.
That's almost true.
Anyway, the barber scene, everyone. Data pops in on Geordi getting a haircut, even though Geordi just got the haircut a week ago. Don't lower his ears, and Data's trying off like, what does he call him? Jarhead or squarehead? I don't know. Lunkhead. I'm sorry. Yeah. He's like, I'm trying out, insults with friends. How's it going? He's like, don't try it on the captain. He's like, oh no, I wouldn't. But they're talking about the whole Miles and Keiko of it all. Will they, won't they? Is this going to happen? What can they do? The other thing I love about this scene too, is that you see the hair color changing here with the little wand, that the other barber has, changing it from, what does it start off as, kind of brownish green, and then turns to like kind of a bright red here, which I never noticed before this watch today. I've seen this episode many times, but I never noticed that before.
I wish I had one of those. That would be amazing.
Boop, 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 boop. Just change your hair color.
I like when Data notices stuff that kind of catches his eye and he does a double take on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Anyway, so then is this where Data gets you have to get a gift for the wedding. So is that where I think that transitions us to the next part. So Worf trying to buy a wedding gift here for Miles and Keiko. This room of the Enterprise, I don't think we've seen it before, but it seems to be where, like, if you want to replicate anything other than food, I guess maybe there was one other time we went to this room, but it's kind of the industrial replicator.
This is very interesting to me. It really speaks to the fact that you don't need to buy anything.
No.
And, like, the kid gets a bunny, wants a bunny, he gets a bunny.
He gets a bunny if he wants it, and then when he doesn't want it anymore, you can just put it back in the replicator.
It just becomes amazing.
So
This is the epitome, guys, of the whole. We don't need like the working for, gain. What's the challenge?
The post-scarcity world.
Yes. Then what's the challenge, Dave?
We go to better ourselves and the rest of humanity.
Then what's the challenge?
The challenge is bettering yourself and the rest of humanity.
Isn't that the answer he gives to the Wall Street guy?
That's what I'm saying. And he answers him back by saying, what's the challenge then?
There's other challenges than making money, I would suppose. But
I don't know what that is. Just kidding.
All right. So yeah, looking at the different gifts in this, like it does beg the question, how much value does a gift have if it has
exactly.
Right.
Like they're going through these crystal things and you go, where are you going to put that?
Yeah. Well, and my favorite thing here was like, oh yeah, Worf saying, oh, these things, these little glasses that his parents give to people at their family weddings. Where did I got that here? Yeah.
Are you here to find a wedding gift?
Yes,
I would appreciate your help in selecting an appropriate item.
of course. I have attended human weddings before. Hold.
This is a traditional gift.
Yes, my adoptive parents often give these things at family weddings. A human custom.
They give these things at human weddings.
I like Jim's comment, but
Jim says, get him a slap chop.
He's got a replicator. He doesn't even need that. Like, sorry, Jim.
You can just replicate chopped up stuff. You don't even need a slap chop.
Yes.
But,
my friend ordered a slap chop when they were popular, and her review was the slap chop slap sucks.
The slap sucks. Yeah, it's true.
See, the thing about these crystal things is like, so they put them in their quarters and then they run into some battle or something gets them and shakes the ship. Like, what happens to this stuff? Well, you just get a new one.
Get a new one. Yeah. Possessions don't matter. We no longer to seek and accumulate possessions in our life, Adam. It's not the driving force in our lives any longer. What's the challenge? Anyway, Data. I love the little scene here with Data and Worf, and even like the narration about how he sees Worf as a kindred spirit because they're both kind of orphans in a way, and and I always love the way Worf interacts with Data too, mostly professional, like treating him like a superior officer, which he is at this point. Then we head over to, because I think dancing gets mentioned here by Worf, and this leads Data to go to see a Crusher, who is helping the expecting mother, Ensign so-and-so, with her contractions and her labor. And then Data says, "Oh, will you please teach me to dance, Dr. Crusher?" Which she immediately grabs him and pulls him over and says, "How do you even know about my dancing?" And she's like, "It was in your service record. You better keep your lips shut."
I don't want to be known as the dancing doctor.
Of course. What would be a greater insult than the dancing doctor? But she agrees to teach him at the holodeck at like 0300 or whatever. Or it was 1500 maybe. But yeah, like a fun little thing for because of course Gates McFadden, Cheryl Gates McFadden, great dancer and choreographer in her own right. So to add this to her Dr. Crusher character, I thought was a lot of fun. And we'll get to the scene that comes up here with them teaching to dance. But then Data is called to the bridge by the captain because he's working with the fake ambassador T'Pel to Picard wants to know what the Romulans are doing in this sector, what their military strategy is, which is explained by Data as being one of confrontation. And can we start looking at certain deployments here? And I don't know. You get the impression that fake Ambassador T'Pel is only giving Captain Picard very limited information, and he's trying his best to service her demands, but that this is obviously because she is in fact a Romulan spy, he's not getting the full picture. As she heads into the ready room to talk more to the captain. And because now they're heading towards the neutral zone. Data says, if I did get anxious and nervous and scared, heading towards the neutral zone might be a time that I do. So I thought it was interesting that, this is being narrated from Data's perspective, who has to tell us he doesn't feel fear, but if he was human, he would right now. And then the music enforces that as they head to the commercial. Then Data comes and gives his briefing to the captain and the ambassador about, how he expects the Romulans' military strategy to remain intact. And they are now going to set a course for the neutral zone directly. Data then goes back to his quarters in the next scene where he replicates Feline Supplement 174 for his cat. And I think this is the first introduction of Spot, or the fact that Data has a cat.
That's correct.
That's right? We'll see many different versions of Spot. This, I guess, being the first, and he is orange, but not how I think of Spot normally. This is a little bit of a different cat. Any commentary from the pet lovers out there?
He is a pretty cat.
He's a pretty cat.
A good cat and a pretty cat. Norman says Spot, then male. That's right, because in Genesis, Spot's female.
Well,
to have kittens.
So
listen, it's the future. Who knows what cats are up to?
Who knows? Exactly.
They've evolved.
Yeah, they have evolved, and Data doing some work here. But then O'Brien comes to pay him a visit, asking for his assistance with talking to Keiko. He's like, I don't know what to say to her. Well, can't you try helping her out? We find, I think it was established in the first scene that like Data introduced O'Brien and Keiko. O'Brien adds to this that Data has known Keiko longer and has worked with her for some time. We know that this is my big observation coming out of this scene, was that like Data is always presented as being the operations manager, right? Like he wears a gold uniform. He's in the engineering sort of section of the ship. And I'm always like, well, who is the science officer of the USS Enterprise D? It appears to be Data. He's directly working with Keiko, who's a botanist, a scientist of sorts, right? And so like that person theoretically wouldn't work with the operations manager, in my mind. But maybe I'm open to debate on the subject. But I always feel like Data is also the science officer.
Well, he definitely is. And I don't know what the in-universe explanation for that is, but we do know that the production reason is that the blue uniform didn't look good with the gold makeup. So that's why he wears the yellow uniforms. But most definitely, I agree that Data is a science officer.
But why don't they call him a science officer then? Like it seems like they got rid of that position. They don't need it. Everybody's a science officer.
It seems like you would definitely need that position.
But
well, Jadzia is.
Yeah. Even though they don't really need a science officer on Deep Space Nine quite as much as you would need on a starship. So, because they're going around doing more exploration.
But I think that they all need that position. They all need to have that. They've got like departments now, that manage different parts of science.
And every time there's a scientific question in the show, or it's always going to Data. It's always going
or Wesley
or maybe Wesley before that. But
Well, yeah, Jim says, I think it's more like Data can do it all. So, hey, might as well have him do everything. That's probably a pretty good explanation. He is the only android after all.
And he does work 24 hours a day. He doesn't need a break.
Doesn't need a break. He runs the night shift. He can be the science officer when everyone else is sleeping, I guess, and he's not on duty.
Yeah.
It'd be handy to have around.
So I also, the other thing I do love about this scene is that Data keeps trying to make O'Brien comfortable. It's like, hey, would you like to sit down? Would you like a refreshment? Would you like a pillow or a nicer chair? But O'Brien doesn't want that. It was kind of a funny thing. He's like, okay, I'll go talk to Keiko. And Keiko, which he does, he's like, maybe you haven't fully considered your decision. And Keiko gets very upset with Data. She's like, why are you doing this to me? I thought you were my friend. And we get to see where Keiko works, the Arboretum, which I think's fun. Although a couple trees, but more of a garden, but
any peonies there, Heather?
Any what?
Peonies?
No, but I see orchids and maybe some sort of irises, the yellow things. No peonies. They cheaped out in the Arboretum.
And I know from the Enterprise D technical manuals that this Arboretum, like we're only getting a glimpse of it, like, but it's a massive section of the ship. You look on the exterior, you see like these blue windows that are like at the very back, sort of behind the saucer section. Those are the windows to the Arboretum area.
It's a date destination, Dave.
It's a what?
It is. Let's go stroll in the Arboretum.
But they also have poisonous plants here that young boys can eat and then get parasites, right? So watch out.
Well, just don't take any young boys on your date, and you're fine.
It seems like good advice for anyone. So
for any century.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Data gets blown off here by Keiko. Keiko's more pissed off that that he's here trying to change her mind at Miles's behest. So he's kind of left confused as she storms off, and then he goes to see Counselor Troy because he's like, I don't know what I did wrong. And in his little narration about Troy, he says, Troy is Miss Emotion and I don't have emotion. So we're kind of mysteries to each other. We're kind of like the opposite ends of the spectrum here, but I still, value her advice. And, she would basically, her advice is sometimes you just gotta let people sort this stuff out. I know you want to be a friend to Keiko and Miles, but in some cases, being a good friend is letting them sort it out.
I think this is the best piece of advice that Troy has ever given anybody on the Enterprise. I totally agree with this point. If I was Data, I would have been just driven by that. I couldn't do it. I said, you guys sort it out. I can't do this for you.
Right.
This is like, you go tell him, you go tell her. No. I'm not doing any of that work. Forget it.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't get impatient though, right? So he's more just like, yeah.
But then they're using him. They're manipulating Data to do this work for them. It's just terrible. These guys are awful. They shouldn't be getting married. They shouldn't be getting married. They don't deserve
Does anyone object to this union? Adam Woodward does. He doesn't like the way they're using Data as an intermediary.
And
So-
good on Troy for actually pointing that out.
Yeah. And then, she talks about like, well, growing old together could be a requisite of something that's, good for marriage. Like, she says just because Miles and Keiko are in love doesn't necessarily mean that it would make a good marriage. Data gets hung up on the whole, well, growing old is something I can't do. And I've thought about getting married, and, Troy is surprised to learn this, but I think pleasantly surprised, and boosts up Data here and says, you know what, you'll make someone very lucky someday, and you have a lot to offer, and don't get too worried about the fact that you don't age, because it's space. There's tons of aliens. Who knows? There's like long-lived species out there too. Then we transition from that scene. We head over to a scene featuring the fake Ambassador T'Pel, also known as the Romulan Sub-Commander Salak, who has called Data to her quarters. We see her pacing before Data comes, and then she sits and she acts on more Vulcan once he's there. And she starts asking for...
Heather?
Eh?
So what do you think of this headwear?
I love this hat. This is like her informal hat with the ear holes and a little fin on the top. And I also noticed there's more hot pink decor in her quarters too.
Yeah.
So maybe Vulcans are just really into hot pink.
It's their color. It's the color of the season, I suppose, on Vulcan.
It's in fashion.
Indeed.
Get Norman's comment. Why is she wearing a shower cap?
Yes, and Jim says she was about to go for a swim.
It does look like an old-timey swim cap too, but it's got that interesting like little sort of stripe down the middle of it that is very, very unusual.
It's like Yondu's hat from Guardians, or his little fin.
It's very unique. Anyway, so she starts asking for like maximum shield outputs, and he was like, like as mentioned, the computer. Even though you have a valid access code, I have to ask you why you're asking for this information, why this is important. And she's like, I just wanted to check if you would not give me the information, so you can leave. And she was like, or he's like, okay, fine. And then he tells us in the narration, like, that was pretty weird. And if I were human, I might actually do something about that suspicious activity. But since I'm not, and I don't have feelings, I'm not going to dwell on it. This does, like, he talks about his intuition or the lack of intuition, right? And the whole thing, like, Data is the third in command of the Enterprise, and he has no ability to sense this. Like, it could make him
I think this
unqualified.
is the only weak part of the Data's story here. Data should notice that and report it to the captain.
I think so. At least, yeah. Like, I think it's, but he kind of doesn't, right? Like, he kind of just, he
he's
goes,
too busy sorting out Keiko and
I got to figure out Keiko and O'Brien and whether, and all these other things. I got a lot on my mind, even though I could do a lot of calculations.
But also, Norman says, why can't Troy sense her deception? Yeah, I know, plot. And Sinister says, and Vulcans don't lie. And that's what I was just about to say. I think, like, in terms of story-wise, that's kind of why.
That is what he tells us in the narration. He's like, since Vulcans don't lie, I have to accept that she's telling the truth.
Right. But you'd think maybe he'd follow up with the captain on that. I know Vulcans don't lie, but this is pretty sus. What do you think, Captain?
But Vulcans do lie.
They do.
We know, if they're ordered to do so, especially.
They exaggerate. They don't.
They exaggerate. We know that this is not the case, but this is the in-universe explanation as to why Data writes it off as sort of a weird, but probably not problematic thing. Then Data's got something bigger on his mind. It's not espionage. It's dancing. So we head to the holodeck here.
I thought you were going to say what kind of supplement to give the spy.
Yeah,
that's another episode.
That's the whole thing. So we get Dr. Crusher and Commander Data doing the dancing here, tap dancing more specifically. Crusher's got her shoes on, and she, they do a couple little tap dances, and he masters it very quickly. It's a fun sequence. I'm sure they had a lot of fun shooting this. And then he's like, maybe you can go from the beginner lesson to like the final lesson, which they do. And they kind of tap dance all around the room.
I love that she's teaching him as if he were a human. And then he's like, okay, Doc, like, let's go. I can listen to 30 symphonies at the same time. I think I can handle more than a 1, 2, 3, 4 box step. Pick up the pace, babe. Let's go.
But it also, this is interesting because he could have just brought up like Fred Astaire or one of the big tap dancers and Gregory Hines or something, but he went to his friend to teach him.
Well, you saw how it went when he tried to learn comedy from Joe Piscopo hologram, right? So I think
it went awesome. Don't you think so?
Yeah, well, from a Jerry Lewis perspective. Yeah.
This is the best.
Yeah, when Data starts doing the whole like tap dance, he's going so fast and he's figuring it all out, and Dr. Crusher's just like, okay, I can't even keep up. Like, you're already surpassing me. And she gets up a sweat here, feeling maybe a little intimidated by how fast Data has mastered something she probably worked a long time to get going here. And she's like, okay, I guess you've learned to dance, Data. And he's like, okay, thanks. Now I'm ready for the wedding. And then she's like, what? You didn't tell me this was to learn dancing for a wedding. Why? Is that important? Well, yes. I'm sure you've read many books on the subject, Data, but you'd never be able to put this together. So anyway, she teaches him to dance, and it doesn't go very well at the beginning. He steps on her feet, and he needs to be able to look at her feet in order to emulate her dance moves. It's a good sequence, Eventually, she starts off with leading, and then eventually she lets him take over. And just when now look up. He looks up at the sky and looks into her eyes, and he's like, there are so many variables. Who can figure out this dancing? And then she says, you got to smile while you're doing it too. And we get like the great smile that Brent Spiner puts on. Some fun. But then Dr. Crusher gets called away to help her patient, the ensign who is in labor with child. And Dr. Crusher says, why don't you, now practice with a hologram, an artificial dance instructor, which he does. He calls for one to be created. And not a bad looking woman emerges from the holodeck. And I feel like, he starts dancing around with her. And I feel like this is Brent Spiner actually really happy to be dancing with this woman as the sequence kind of cuts away. Thoughts?
Her hair and her gown are lovely.
Yes, a backless dress here. She's looking pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, and Data's still doing his smile.
It's a good comedy moment. I enjoy it.
It is.
It still holds up. Anyway, that we transition from that, and then we head to the bridge. This is where Data comments on Riker, because he has to comment on every other cast member about how Riker tells a lot of jokes, and a lot of the people on the crew like him.
Some days you get the bear, and some days the
That's
bear.
the wrong quote. That's the wrong Riker quote.
I'd always thought there was something a little too...
Oh, no, that's the wrong... Where's my Riker? I know I have it here. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't load it. Riker. Did I not save it?
It's okay. Don't you think that Riker has better things to do than be like fraternization on duty with this very attractive woman here?
No.
I don't know, Adam. You're the one who said he never does anything.
Well, he does.
He tells jokes, Adam. Here, I found the quote.
Headsman swings the axe and the blade is about
Commander
to fall.
Riker's easygoing manner and sense of humor is fascinating to me. I believe it to be one reason he is so popular among the crew. It may also be partly responsible for his success in matters of love. There may be a correlation between humor and sex. The need for more research is clearly indicated.
Great. Okay, and this woman at security who is making eyes at Riker, and he's making eyes back at her while he's on duty. Again, this would lend to Adam's claim that he's not professional. He fraternizes too much with his subordinates, which could be true. But, he tells jokes.
Well, gotta have a joke.
Adam, you don't stop what you're doing at work to tell jokes to attract your colleagues. So
No, I'm miserable.
Yeah. So and Riker has his eyes on her for the whole time until Data calls him over, like, "Hey, there are Romulans, or we're approaching the neutral zone." And
maybe
then
you should focus on the job at hand.
Maybe you should do your job. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm in serious Riker mode now. Let's go."
And meanwhile, the security officer needs to do her job too. In this, like, they got a Romulan coming at them.
They got Romulans coming at them. Tense situation. They're heading towards the neutral zone, but has there ever been a better time? And all of a sudden they are hailing this Romulan ship. They get a text message back, and then they meet up with the Romulans in the neutral zone as they head towards the coordinates. There you go. Riker looking kind of suspicious towards T'Pel. Does he vocalize these suspicions to his captain? Unclear. But
what was that joke about the bear? I can't remember what he say.
Oh, that comes at the end.
Some days you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you.
This is the bear getting them, Riker always gets the bear. That's true. Anyway, they meet up with this Romulan ship, and we meet Romulan Admiral Mendak, who's fun. He's got a more ornate Romulan uniform than we're used to seeing. And he's like, "Okay, well, T'Pel is going to beam over and start negotiations." Very good. And Picard has told us a couple times, "Why don't you let like a security guard go with you? Somebody go with you." This kind of is not wise. But she's like, "I find your arguments illogical, Captain, and I am beaming over. So bye."
Argument over.
Like, yeah. Picard's like, "Well, what are you gonna do? She's an ambassador." Just then, as she's beaming over, there's a malfunction, and they realize that her pattern's been lost. O'Brien tells us over the comm that he's lost her, and she is now dead.
Stargazer just made my night.
What'd he say? Oh, Adam, you're live right now. You're breathing the immersion. You're breaking the immersion.
He said, "I'm starting to understand why Riker stopped getting promotion offers post Best of Both Worlds. He sucks."
Maybe he's in a slump.
I said, no, don't go over to the dark side of Riker hating.
Oh, there you go.
There's just no ships to give him anymore, right?
No, we just don't. A lot of them got blown up at the Wolf 359. So,
but they're making ships like crazy right now. They need captains.
Yeah, because that's literally what Shelby and Cisco are doing. At this time, right? They're helping to rebuild the fleet at Utopia Planitia. Anyway, so there's a transition here. Oh, and by the way, these are the little windows of the Arboretum. These windows right here that I was pointing out, the blue ones. They go to the transporter room where there's only left of Ambassador T'Pel seems to be a stain on the transporter pad that's being examined by Dr. Crusher. Brian's like, "I don't know what happened. I was doing my job. I did everything normal. And then all of a sudden she was gone. And by the time I tried to switch to manual, it was too late." Data says, "This is not a normal thing. We have safeguards to prevent this." Geordi's checking all the systems, but Data or Picard wants a full investigation. We could figure this out. And Crusher's working her angle. Geordi's working his. And then Picard gets on the line with Admiral Mendak. He's like, "Where's our Vulcan?" He's like, "Well, she actually got killed accidentally, seems like." And he's like, "Come on, don't BS me, Federation. I know that this is all crazy. Like, if I, it's so Romulan of you to kill your person as you're sending them over." Anyway, leave.
It seemed like a very quick answer, though.
It's a very quick answer, and of course it is, because they have no interest in prolonging this, because they got their Romulan spy back, right? So they just want to move on as quickly as possible. So Picard does give the order to leave, but he orders also Data to launch a full investigation. "You're on top of this, Data. I want you to get to the truth." Data working with Geordi afterwards, and he's working with O'Brien, testing out the transporter. Can't find anything else, and he says, the works of Sherlock Holmes, introduced to him by Captain Picard, have taught him that every, once you remove all of the possibilities, the only thing left must be the truth. I'm not doing the quote very much justice right now, but a deduction basically. And so Data then goes to see Dr. Crusher and goes, "I tested everything out," and she's mostly just upset that he might want more dancing lessons while she's working.
What did she do with her hair here? Something different.
It does look different, yeah, than it had in the previous.
I wonder if it's her real hair here. that they just had her in her real hair for an episode because I think we've talked about before. I saw she tweeted that season 167 was her real hair and 3, 4, 5 were wigs. But this does look very different from the usual wig they have her in. So either it's her real hair or they misplaced her wig and gave her a loaner for this episode. Yeah. Or maybe she's just pushing it off her face because she was dancing so much.
Maybe, yeah. Like it, but you notice you do notice compared to the scenes that came before it. Anyway,
Norman says she changed it for the wedding.
Maybe she's got it all done up. So Data wants to test the DNA basically of what's left of Ambassador T'Pel, and it seems to match, but then through some science and medical forensics here, they determined that the DNA actually looks more like replicated matter than it does like actual. Like it matches chemically, but it's not biologically speaking. It doesn't look quite right, and that there's a greater conspiracy at work here, which leads our Sherlock to report to the captain that the Romulans seem like they stole her. They faked another transporter beam to match our resonance, and then they beamed her out of there.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark, Dave.
Something is rotten. We got to get to the bottom of this. And they, so now Picard is left with this possibility that they have kidnapped Ambassador T'Pel. Right? They've abducted her. And Data, in his narration, as he's writing the letter, says, the sensible thing would be to, go back to Starfleet Command and ask for further instructions. But I think, based on prior experience, there's only like a 17% chance Picard is going to do that. Instead, here he goes. And Picard says, we're going in. Head back to the neutral zone. Find that Romulan ship. Red alert. Let's go. Let's, find out where she is and engage. And they head right back in.
So question here, guys. Do you think that Picard would, it doesn't seem like him either just to go with one outcome. Yes, that's a possibility, but maybe she is a spy.
Well, yeah, okay, so the Romulans, they used another transporter beam. They seem to have faked her death. Why? Right? And you're right. The two possibilities are, one, they kidnapped her. Two, she's some kind of.
It's not like Picard to be like, and this is where I just think the episode needed more of this, because it's not like him to go without.
But it's like, oh, but the ship's getting away. We have to turn around. We don't have time to think about this.
No, but sure, but I guess I'm just saying is that it's not like him to go with only one possibility.
Yeah. We had to make room for buying gifts in this episode, so we don't have room for that scene in the 45-minute cut. Anyway, he shows up the Admiral, who's pissed off. He's like, what are you doing here? I told you to head back to Federation territory. He's like, you stole our ambassador, didn't you? And I'm not leaving until you give us back our citizen. And then a second Romulan warbird emerges and surrounds the Enterprise. And
it is my job now to defend every member of the Federation.
And Picard doesn't. He's like, there's kind of a cool moment here too with Data's talking about how this is kind of a poker moment. Will Picard just run away, or will he actually call the bluff of the Admiral and say, okay, yeah, sure, my ship will be destroyed in the process of fighting 2 Romulan warbirds, but dare me not to. And start a war. And well, there's kind of a quick moment here. What is Picard bluffing? Is he not bluffing? And the Admiral says, you know what? I don't want to start the war today. Let me show you who I got here. And we meet T'Pel, but it's actually Sub Commander Salak, who reveals herself to not be that Vulcan ambassador at all. And see, he's like, since you can clearly see we don't have one of your citizens, there's nothing to do.
I bet she's bummed out that she doesn't get to wear cool hats anymore.
She only gets to wear gray now. Hot Pink's gone too, Heather.
She was like, my fashion has been completely ruined. I can't even be cool about it.
Being a Romulan sucks.
You know what's so interesting with this Admiral versus Tomalak is like he's got no personality. He's just a flat.
Yeah, he's like an administrative kind of a guy, very cold, almost Vulcan-like, really, in how he delivers his lines. Yeah, and he's but kind of a na vibe I get here from the two Romulans across the view screen. And this is where Riker's like, sometimes the bear gets you, and sometimes you get the bear, or whatever. And so anyway, and then I think Worf says, and actually they have like 5 more warbirds coming, so the Enterprise has no choice whatsoever. They have to leave, and accept this defeat effectively.
So this is another case of like Starfleet Command messing up.
Well, they messed up. Like they sent this ambassador. Not really. She had been replaced by the Romulan. This has got to be like, if I was at Federation Starfleet security, I would have to be thinking like, should we be worried about Romulans infiltrating Vulcan and taking, because since they are cousins, basically cousin races, this does increase the chance of this kind of thing happening. And here we are. So yes, the Badmirals have failed us all once again, Adam.
You know what? It'd be a tough job to be an admiral in Starfleet. I think you got a lot of priorities, a lot of politics.
You got to read a lot of reports, politics, but they never get it. They're not out here. Anyway, so then let's head over back to, now that the Enterprise has left the neutral zone, Data goes to apologize to Keiko for butting in on her stuff, but she says, no, thank you. Me and Miles, the wedding's back on, and you need to get
talk to each other.
We talked to each other, and it worked out. So it was great. And she gets him a flower for his boutonniere, or not, whatever you put on the flower you wear on your jacket.
Your lapel.
Your lapel, yes. And we transition to the
That is the most unrealistic thing about this entire episode. Keiko, as a botanist, gives him a basic ass white carnation for his boutonniere. Absolutely not. She would have chosen something much nicer, like an orchid.
There was no budget for that, Heather.
They spent it all on hot pink Vulcan accessories.
They did.
Oh, if we can go back to that for a second, when I said being a Romulan's boring, you don't get to wear anything good. Norman said only shoulder pads. And then Jim said, like a militarized B. Arthur. I love it.
She does look like a militant B. Arthur. A little
She kind of does.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
B. Arthur, Romulan wig.
Anyway, so wedding's back on. We transition over to the wedding. And, people are in their dress uniforms. Data, is this like a Japanese custom to like, take the bride in this way that we're shown in the episode?
Perhaps. She's wearing, I looked it up, not recently, but in the past I did look it up, and what she's wearing I think is like some traditional Japanese garb for her wedding. I'm not sure if it's the hat or the robe. I don't recall from when I looked it up. Maybe Adam can tell us for fun facts, but I think it's like traditional, and then they used kind of shiny fabric to give it that future feel. And on the side here, it's left to us, but her right hand side, it actually kind of looks like Christmas ribbon, like curled with scissors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tim says that's an air filter.
That's not a hat; it's an air filter. Yeah. And I think someone else commented on those poor bonsais in the corner here. Oh, there you go. So, anyway, so Data escorts her. He's got that boutonniere. Looks not bad on his dress uniform. I'd orchid would look better. And then we have the actual ceremony. Some of these lines taken from. What's that episode where they had the wedding? It's the Romulan one, right? The balance of terror, which is interesting that we get a wedding at the end of this episode. With a lot of those same lines from Captain Picard about the captains having the happy duty of bringing people together in matrimony, which I don't think is actually true about captains, but maybe it's true in Starfleet. And like we get the whole ceremony here with O'Brien and Keiko. It's nice. Picard, Patrick Stewart does well with the lines, and then we got a nice little voiceover here, part of Data's letter, saying like, I've never really understood a lot of human emotions, especially like anger and hatred, but love I get, friendship I get. you know, it's nice. This is important, which I think's, you know, a nice moment. And then she gets to dance with Keiko at the wedding. We got Troy on Riker's arm here, which I thought was fun because I'm like, you know, maybe Riker wanted to take that security woman to the wedding, but he's like, I'll take Troy. Troy would be my date for the wedding.
They're there as a throuple.
There's maybe they are. So
that's what they in my head canon. That's what's up.
That would be the best if they were actually like he had one on each arm, and then he was like, "See, Troy."
If it was made today, they may have done that.
They absolutely would, but you know they would never allow that.
That back then, no. But,
no.
Anyway, so then there's a scene here in the sick bay nursery with Captain Picard meeting the newest member of the crew, the baby that was born.
I don't buy this at all.
Me neither. Picard would never go to the nursery. He does not like babies. He certainly wouldn't go in his dress uniform.
Well, maybe he just wanted to get out of the wedding. He's like, you know what? I'll go meet the baby.
Come and see the baby.
Data's had time to change out of his dress uniform, which I thought was interesting. But Picard doesn't want to hear it. He's like, because the baby was born just when they were, facing off with the Romulans where they couldn't get blown up. He says, welcome aboard, young baby. Anyway. Then we get the final kind of moment of the episode, which is when Data comes in with the night shift crew to relieve Worf and I guess what the late day shift.
The beta shift.
The beta shift. Worf gives them the details about everything going on and he says, okay, thanks, and takes over and finishes. That's kind of the end of the letter to Bruce.
This is when we see the Alpha, Beta, and I guess Charlie shift. But I kind of like the idea of going to the 4th shift that Jellicoe wanted.
Well, Riker doesn't like a 4-shift rotation. He likes a 3-shift rotation.
It's a 6-hour shift. It'd be great. It's a good shift.
Versus an 8, Jellicoe likes 4 6-hour shifts versus 3 8-hour shifts. I can see that. Anyway, that is the end of the episode screenshot wise. So thanks for running through that with me. And we'd love to hear some more trivia and interesting facts from the episode. If you indulge us, Mr. Woodward.
Oh, you got it. Sorry, you're up. I'm up.
You're up.
All right.
Sexy fun facts with Adam. They're facts and they're fun and sexy. Woo!
Thank you. I need a real jingle. I want a jingle.
There you go.
What's wrong with my on the fly jingle every week? We don't have a budget for a real jingle.
This is true. We don't have a budget for this.
I'll pay for it. I want to get myself a jingle. Okay. All right, Dave, did you know this? Captains actually cannot marry people. Maritime captains.
I did know this. I looked this up. I think when we did Balance of Terror, we're like, is this true? Like captains can just marry random people if they want to?
They don't have they don't automatically have the legal authority to do this. Being in international waters doesn't give them that ability. So this is really a fictional Starfleet tradition that we've been introduced to. Actually, they do it in other shows too.
They do it in some other shows, and I guess
however, Japan, Italy, and Portuguese captains can do it.
So it's not an American or British tradition, but maybe they adopted it from the Japanese.
Yeah, only legalized, authorized officiants can perform marriages, and this is in Canada, Canadian or waters. But even on if you're a military captain in Canada and you had 2 cast members or crew members in a cast that would want to marry you, he would have, or she would have no legal authority to do that.
Okay, good to know.
All right. Now, Heather, you had asked about the Keiko outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the full breakdown. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So she started with an iridescent pink chiffon kimono.
Mm-hmm.
it was the choice was to blend traditional Japanese bridal symbolism with the next generation pastel forward costuming that they do so well of. Underneath that, she had a stretch lace bodysuit. And then her elaborate floral hat, which is, as Jim said, the air filter of an old car. But again, made it to be a little more Federation-y and more flamboyant. We didn't see her shoes, but apparently they were visible somewhere. But they're designed to match the pink palette of her entire outfit.
I really liked it. I love when they go with the shiny fabric. They just take like a present day garment and just put it in iridescent shiny fabric. Future.
Yes. This is the first episode to introduce Data's cat Spot, which goes on to become one of the most iconic pets in Star Trek. But I don't even think there's any other pets that we talk. Oh, I guess when you doesn't Worf talk about a pet?
Archer's dog, Worf's pet Targ.
Yeah, Archer's dog doesn't really. All he eats is cheese and farts.
This is true. He doesn't eat the farts, does he?
No, he eats the cheese that makes him fart.
No, this is true.
What are you guys talking about? Enterprise is the worst.
Well, you haven't even watched it all.
Yeah.
Documents. Hold on.
Okay, as you called out, Gates McFadden actually is a choreographer and a dancer, but this scene was really designed for Brent Spiner to show his comedic range. It's now considered one of the most memorable scenes in Star Trek Next Generation.
Which scene?
The dance scene.
Oh.
But you know what? He was never really actually dancing in that scene either.
No, somebody said in the comments earlier, you can really see when it's showing from the top down, especially, that it's a dance double and it's not Spiner.
Yeah, because it's McFadden all the whole way through, right? But it's not.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, when they pulled back,
Pets, Livingston the lionfish, lest we forget.
Yes, that's right. And while we're on the topic of Spot, I thought it might be fun to listen to an ode to Spot.
This is Spot. This simple creature managed something.
Oh,
this is miraculous.
This is not the ode to Spot.
Something of which I did not know I was capable.
This is from Picard. Never mind.
I wanted to hear ode for Spot. I love that.
I'm looking for the
ode to Spot. We could recite it.
We could recite it. But
tell him he's a pretty cat and a good cat.
That's about as good as I can do.
Spot, is your taxonomic nomenclature an endothermic quadruped carnivorous by nature?
That's good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I used to be able to do the whole thing, but I can't remember.
There was a young lady from Venus whose body was shaped like a...
Captain to security, come in!
Oh, that's a different one.
Okay. This was the first appearance of several things on the Enterprise, including the Arboretum, the barbershop, the nursery, and the replicating center.
We also find out that they have chess tournaments and all kinds of other things going on all the time.
It's like a cruise ship. They have a lot. There must be a cruise director, or a social director on the cruise.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
It's Riker.
It's Riker. It's Riker. He's like, I'm telling jokes down at the pool hall later.
That's why you think he's never doing his real job. He's busy being the fun director.
Yeah, every morning there's an announcement. So on the Lido deck today, we'll be doing, drink tasting of, Romulan ale or something like that. Oh my God. Okay. So as I said, this is the first episode of to feature Data's cat Spot, which is not named until later. Although he is a brown long-haired cat, whereas in all subsequent episodes, Spot becomes an orange tabby. The running gag of Data's character was trying for Brent Spiner, who claims he hates cats. Which is even more funny. I didn't know that.
It's not a cat person. And they were like, we're gonna write a cat for Data just to torture Spiner.
Vasilas the barber first appeared in this episode. As his name is not stated in dialogue, the Star Trek Encyclopedia accidentally assumed that he and Mr. Mott, another Bolian barber featured in later episodes, were the same person. Wow, I didn't know that either.
Oh, I'm confusing my Bolians.
Yes, you are. I guess Bolian has a job that they like to do.
Vasal. This is Vasal the Bolian, not right. Mott the Bolian. I don't know. See,
yeah. Wonder if they're brothers. This episode marks the first overt depiction of the lights being dim for Night Watch. However, the captain's chair has been occupied many times by Riker and Data in place of Picard, which indicates rotating shifts. So, night crew is not always night crew, right?
What's the purpose of dimming the lights, though?
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't get why they would do that. They meant to fall asleep while they're working.
No, you should keep, like, these people that's their day shift. They should be awake and ready to go.
The lights aren't keeping anyone else on the ship awake, are they? Like,
no,
I can't imagine.
No. Unless you're Commander Darren, you don't want to open the door.
Maybe.
Data stated that this is the 150th day since the Enterprise was commissioned, which would be 4 years, 3 months. With this number, one can estimate that well over a year has gone by since that hasn't been witnessed on the show.
So there's been in total, in those 4 years, there's been a total of about a year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Case McFadden was actually pregnant when the tap dancing scene was filmed.
Oh. Oh. And then Brent Spiner went on to be the godfather of that child.
Oh, right. Yes, that's true. The title based on a newspaper column by My Day, written by America's First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, where she was discussed her life, work, and issues of the day, such as race and women. The replicating center is a partial redress of the bridge of the USS Enterprise 1701, as seen in the first 3 movies.
Oh, so it's from like the movies, the set.
That's where you probably had seen it before because you commented on that.
I was like, it looks familiar, but I don't quite know how to place it.
Yeah, the Ambassador class starship Zukov was depicted by retouching the Enterprise C that was constructed for the yesterday's Enterprise. The model got a new paint job as well as several minor modification. The Star Trek Encyclopedia states that the ship named for the Russian General Georgy Zukov and was misspelled Zukov on the model. So it went from what are the changes here? Oh, his real name is ZHUKOV, and it was misspelled with a ZU rather than ZH.
They left out the H?
Yeah.
Americans.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, and around 13 minutes in, Data gives his gives his cat the food. And do you remember what the supplement is?
174?
74.
Just 74.
An anagram of 47.
Ah, damn you, 47. With all those things.
And then finally, Picard's actions are actually investigated by Admiral Nora Seti in the Drumhead.
That's coming up later this season. Yeah, we
you know what? I mean, when you consider that, all he did was ferry her over there. He was the courier.
All he did was follow orders, but
yeah.
But then she gets mad. Like, why were you running an inquisition, trying to find out where all the spies were?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Adam, thank you for that. And we will head into ratings and put a score on this episode. Let's do it. I think this is a really strong episode, actually. Like even in a season of strong episodes, it was a lot better than I remembered it. And I was pleased by the result, and it was fun to, I think the only thing I would probably change is I would probably get someone different to play Admiral Mendak. I would get someone a little bit more menacing, I guess.
I just wish they bring Tom Locke back for everything.
Yeah, I would have rather have seen Andreas Katsoulis as well.
Yes.
So I will deduct a little bit for that, but otherwise I can't fault this at all. So I'm at a 9 for this, guys.
Norman also gives it a 9.
Adam, you're up.
I'll give it an 8.
8 from Adam and Narduzzi.
This episode's a 10 for me. I love it. It's so fun. And I like the episodes that we don't really get anymore in the newer shows with shorter seasons, just where you see kind of slice of life, day-to-day life in the Enterprise, where they're fooling around or there's like low stakes shenanigans. I always enjoy that, and this is a fun one. So it's a 10 for me. Jim says it was a nice change to have a more relaxed character episode, 8.5. Sinister also gives it an 8.5. And we also need our Live Long and Podcast email address. Sinister wants to share the ambassador model with us.
Oh, it's livelongandpodcast@gmail.com. I don't check it as often as I should, but I will check it tomorrow. So, okay. Thank you. So we're averaging a 9 out of 10 for this episode. This has an 8.1 on IMDb. So it's a pretty well liked episode compared to like some of the other ones that have been in the 6s of earlier in the season. So not bad. All right, then looking ahead to our next podcast, which will be The Wounded, everybody. This is the famous episode with Captain Maxwell, the guy who plays Bob Gunton plays Captain Maxwell, I think, from Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
And in this one, Picard must confront a respected Starfleet captain who has gone rogue, destroying Cardassian ships under suspicion of treaty violations. With tensions rising, O'Brien's past comes back to resolving the crisis. And we all know how this one goes.
The minstrel boy to the war has gone. In the ranks of death you will find him.
Look out for that next week, everyone, as we will be covering that one. Technically, I have no one signed up for The Wounded somehow, but watch out. We'll be Adam's in. So
I will also join. Let me just double check. Yes, I will join.
All right. We have a panel. So thank you both. Yes.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. So that is it for Next Gen. Do we have a premiere date for Strange New Worlds yet? I think that's
in 2 weeks.
It's in 2 weeks, so
actually
we might only
3 weeks, Dave. 3 weeks.
So we might only get like The Wounded, and then maybe one more after that before we have to jump into a season. Is it 4 we're doing now? Strange New Worlds.
Yep, Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds season 4. So look out for that very soon. We're still doing Firefly on Monday nights. We are up to episode. We just did episode 4, and we were going to be doing episode 5 on Monday. It's called Safe. It features a young Zac Efron.
Heather.
So
really?
Mm-hmm.
I came to a conclusion. It's on the 23rd, so 3 weeks.
Okay.
Heather, I every time they leave the ship, the episode is no good.
He likes the episodes that stay on the ship, and when they go to the planets, he's like, "Why is it the Old West?" And then he gets
Firefly.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's his conclusion.
I'm still not caught up on last week, so we shall see.
It's not a horrible episode, but it's
okay.
It
was no Data's Day. I'll say that.
No.
So,
okay. If we're gonna rate the two,
it's not. It's apples and oranges, right?
I can't. We can't even do that. It's not even. Let's not degrade it. This episode was fun.
Let's not even try to say these things are even remotely the same. I get you. Okay, well, thanks to everyone in the chat. We loved having you with us. If you're not watching live, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. We're so close. Come on, just help us get over that threshold. We really like it. And with that, we will...
Not a great episode.
But yes, I don't have a pun for that. But look out. All right, and then we'll leave you with the Data speech for the end of the episode here. We'll see you next time, everyone. Live long and podcast.
There are still many human emotions I do not fully comprehend. Anger, hatred, revenge. But I am not mystified by the desire to be loved or the need for friendship. These are things I do understand.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And take a peek into the darkness with Heard Noise. Must Investigate with Michael Chan. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.